What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. This officially wraps up the most patriotic I have ever been in my entire life. Y'all ain't never been this patriotic ever. I have literally been so patriotic. And on a regular basis, I'm out here with a kufi on. Not really, but that's how I feel. But child, this episode of Black News officially wraps up Olympic patriotism and coverage as it relates to Black people. Because, say not everything is applicable. But I personally wanted to provide a space to be able to talk about the Olympics from the Black perspective. And also, let's keep it real. This has been one of the most talked about Olympics in a while. And I feel like it's because we had a lot of access to watch more things than we had before. We had to rely on different networks and replays and things. But with the Peacock app, y'all, child, they did their big one. So I think everybody was locked in, even more so than in the past. So to wrap up this year in the Olympics, this past Saturday was my absolute most patriotic day that I've had in years. I woke up early because I volunteered to do Tex Banking for the upcoming election to get people registered to vote. So I woke up early, had my volunteer session, the tutorial and training on how to get people signed up, how to use the platform. If you would like information, I can share that with you. I'll just do a quick tidbit here. I did it with the California Democrats. If I'm not mistaken, your local party, if you sign up online for volunteer activities, there's a plethora of options. They have phone banking, text banking, door-to-door, canvassing, you name it, they have those opportunities. And because I don't personally I ain't gonna be knocking on nobody's door. Now I'm a Black woman. Okay, and I'm not gonna be going to these strange neighborhoods knocking on nobody's door. And it's not really worth it in California because while there is a very large Republican population in Cali, there's something drastic would have to happen for the state to turn red. So knocking on doors out here, especially for the presidential election, it's not really, you're not going to get the bang for your buck. Maybe for local elections. So with phone banking and text banking, they give you opportunity to work on campaigns in other states, battleground states. So I woke up early. I did that for 2 hours. Then I turned on the Olympics, watched track and field finals. I think on Saturday was the hurdles, one of the relays. Then the men's basketball game. I watched that, child, and then went down to the store and bought some groceries. I may as well have been walking around with a flag on. I would have looked like them people that be wearing the flag outfits on the holiday. That's how I felt, child. And that's going to be the last Saturday I do it for the next 4 years. Okay. Because you know who it is. For Black Americans, we have a really interesting relationship with the United States of America. But one thing I noticed, and you probably have as well, and Black people on social media were saying the same thing. When it comes to them games, we going to be locked in USA. I was in the apartment by myself chanting USA, USA. I'm talking about, you would have thought I wrote the national anthem. I was a co-author for the Constitution. Okay. The Declaration of Independence was drafted in my apartment. That's how you would have, hey man. One thing I also did notice is, I remember a couple weeks ago, I talked about the hierarchy of who we rooting for within the Olympics. And the conclusion that I came to, that especially as Black Americans, we're going to root for the Black people. One thing that I noticed and other people was noticing, and I think we all kind of realized this in real time when Sha'Carri lost the 100-meter gold medal to the woman from St. Lucia. other demographics and other Black people in the diaspora, they don't root for us the same way. And I've been spending a little time trying to figure out why that is. So to clarify, Black people, Black Americans, it seems like if the Black American ain't in the race, we gonna go for the next best thing, or our brothers and sisters, what we consider our brothers and sisters. And this could lend to the overall diaspora wars that we've been seeing that's been gaining more popularity because of social media and the toxicity within that. But it started to become evident that other Black people across the world were rooting for everybody else outside of the Black American. They would even root for non-Black people from other countries that isn't their own if they were racing or competing against us, Black Americans. And it was so interesting. And I was trying to figure out, what is that? Like Black people, Black Americans are responsible for significant culture, pop culture. Black culture is pop culture. That is a fact. Black Americans are responsible for many different genres of music that has shaped the world as far as entertainment. Music, television, film, dance, you name it. Black American culture is pop culture. Hell, people, you go to a foreign country, you go to China, Japan, child, they be rapping, wearing cornrows, doing hit this is Black culture. People ain't got the girls got fake nails now and be dressing like Joel Santana, not because of other reasons, it's because Black people are the trend. And so I wonder if you are a Black person listening to Black news and you are a part of the diaspora, but you're not Black American, I would love to hear your take on this. I'm wondering if it's because Black Americans, especially Black American celebrity, seem to be put on a certain pedestal, whether that pedestal is justified or not. And as Black people, I feel like instinctively, a part of us, we all feel like we are the shit. We all special. It don't matter which part of the globe you're from as a Black person. We all, yes, all came from Africa, but we're all because of the transatlantic slave trade and because of the East African slave trade, we are all over. But as Black people, we all are special and we all know we special. So I'm wondering if it's a level of resentment because Black people from other countries see Black Americans doing these things and being propped up, when in their mind, they're thinking or wondering or feeling like, what's so special about them? We're just as talented. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but there is something behind this idea that Black Americans are the step above enemy, because I don't want it don't seem like they think we're the enemy, but there is a level of slight disrespect or resentment, and I don't know what that is. So just pointing that out because that was something that I really noticed during this Olympics. Another thing that happened during the Olympics that we're still figuring out and hearing more about, Jordan Childs won, as we know, the bronze medal in the floor exercise. Gymnastics, she was the person who got the score. Her team saw that the judges did not score it appropriately. They didn't give her a level of difficulty that she should have had. They rescored it, came back, found out that that was correct. They didn't score her correct appropriately. She ended up getting the bronze medal. Well, the Romanians took days to file a complaint, and come to find out, the Olympic Committee essentially rescinded Jordan's bronze medal and said she had to give her medal back, child. People was going crazy, especially me, because yes, there are rules and stipulations, but a part of me and other people feel like It's kind of like what's happening in America. A lot of the discourse and the racism and the outward struggle that people are having is because things are changing in a direction that is scaring people who were historically on top. I really think that podium with Simone Biles, Rebecca Andrade, and Jordan Childs did something to people where people are now panicking and shook because this sport is about to change. And it ain't changing in some people's favor. So let me read a couple tweets that people were sending off that were very relatable. One lady said, Jordan is now the only athlete in Olympic history to be stripped of a medal because of judging error. Every other instance is from doping or rule breaking. This is absolutely heinous and devastating for her. Again, only time people have been stripped is because they did something wrong. In this case, they're stripping Jordan of her medal because the judges messed up. Another source said that the USAG and Romania have agreed to share the bronze. It was the IOC and FIG that said no. They asked Jordan to return her medal. Child, I ain't giving it back. If I was Jordan and her family, child, I don't know where that medal at. You're going to have to ask somebody else. Ask your mama where it's at, because I don't know. Another point that someone brought up, they said if the inquiry was filed too late, because that was the conversation, they were saying that Jordan's coaches filed the inquiry. She had 1 minute to file, and they said they filed too late. They said if the inquiry is filed too late, you shouldn't have accepted it in the first place. It was accepted and her score was updated. Even if it was late, the judges acknowledged they were wrong. Jordan deserves the medal. The judges were wrong. She is essentially being punished because the judges were incorrect. So then there were updates that happened. After there was a statement released, USA Gymnastics chimed in and they submitted additional evidence. According to their statement, they said USA Gymnastics on Sunday formally submitted a letter and video evidence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, conclusively establishing that head coach Cecilia Landy's request to file an inquiry was submitted 47 seconds after the publishing of the score, which the 1 minute deadline required by the FIG rule. Then they go on to say the timestamp video evidence submitted by USA Gymnastics Sunday evening shows Landy first stated her request to file an inquiry at the inquiry table 47 seconds after the score is posted, followed by a second statement 55 seconds after the score was originally posted. So they lied. She actually did file it in time. The last point I want to bring up, and this is the update that we have as of now. And again, we talking about Jordan Childs. One thing you're not about to do is you ain't about to take no black woman medal now. You ain't about to take her medal. You better find somebody else to play with. The last statement is from a statement from USA Gymnastics. It says, USA Gymnastics was notified by the Court of Arbitration for Sport on Monday that their rule did not allow for an arbitral award to be reconsidered, even when conclusive new evidence was presented. We are deeply disappointed by the notification and will continue to pursue every possible avenue and appeal process, which means they saw the video and they said, oops, sorry, we can't accept it. Jordan still got to get the medal back. Child, they on social media talking about they about to sue the committee. Play with somebody else. Okay? Play with somebody else. If this continues on and the Olympic committees and the people responsible will outright say, we see video evidence that the rules were followed and our judges admitted that they scored Jordan Childs incorrectly, but they still continue to push Jordan to give her medal back and take her third place award, this will completely destroy the credibility of Olympic gymnastics moving forward. And all of this, I'm willing to bet they're doing this and standing behind it because at the end of the day, the sport is changing and them people mad, allegedly. I'm just saying. So I'll keep y'all updated on that. Not gonna go too deep in it because we're gonna have to move past and beyond Olympic coverage. But that is something that is very important that we need to keep our eye on. And one of the final things that took place, and it really did start an interesting conversation, one that we continue to have, is about gentrification and cultural appropriation. This time it was in regards to breakdancing, Olympic breaking, which was a newly added competition or sport into the Olympics this year. And before we even get into it, it will not be added. I found out each host city gets to decide which new sports they want to add into the fold. LA 2028 decided not to opt into breakdancing. They instead picked three sports, one of which will be flag football. And if I'm not mistaken, Jaylen Herz will be the flag football ambassador for the inauguration of this new sport. If that's the case, if that's true, shout out to Jaylen because he finer than a monk. Y'all know I'm really watching football, but I'm going to watch Jaylen Herz. Okay. But based on the women's breaking competition, it's probably best that they sit this one out. So I tuned in. I am a child of hip hop. My favorite movie, I have two favorite movies. One is The Last Dragon. The second is Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. I know these aren't the best movies that are ever created. I'm not one of the movie people who be like, my favorite movie is Martin Scorsese. Like, I base movies off of my favorite movies off of how they make me feel. And in regards to Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, I'm trying to save miracles. Okay? We got to raise $200,000 in 1 week to save the local community center where kids who have no other place to go can learn how to break dance, ballet being taught by Kelly. Okay. They can learn boxing, life skills, and keep them off the streets. I want to save miracles. So when I heard Olympic breaking was coming to the Olympics, I immediately thought, oh, great. Ozone, I'm sorry, is no longer with us. Shout out to Shabadoo, rest in peace, one of my heroes. But Turbo, Boogaloo Shrimp, he's still around. I immediately thought, oh great, they're gonna have the OGs judging. They gonna be pop locking. We gonna hear Dindada played at least 3 times. I had an expectation that it was gonna be like that scene in Breaking 2 where Electro Rock threw the spray can bottle through the window and Kelly and them ran out, chased them around the corner, got in the car, and they met under the bridge and had the dance battle. I thought we was gonna be like that. I thought it was gonna be under the bridge dance battle with Ice-T rapping Combat as a soundtrack. And if not that, I at least thought it was gonna be like when they met up at Radiotron and they was dancing and having beef on the dance floor. Part Breaking 1, not Breaking 2, because in Breaking 2 they ain't really had a battle. Leela Rashawn and her homegirls was just harassing Kelly because she was with Ozone. I thought it was gonna be something like that. Okay. I thought at the end of the breakdance competition, they was gonna get gold, silver, and bronze medal. And also we was gonna have a $200,000 to save miracles. That wasn't the case. Miracles did not get saved. Matter of fact, they bulldozed over it. They built the shopping center. That's what happened at the Olympics for breaking. Now the men's was better because I turned into the men's. They was getting to it. But one thing that was sparking the conversation that had people in an uproar is there were no black people. I think on the women's, they had one black person. Now, I will say this, historically, breaking in the United States, when a breaking was originated, it was not dominated completely by black people. There were black and Hispanic people, black and Latinos. That was the demographic, whether it's black Caribbean, West Indian, black Americans, but it was mixed within those demographics, especially when you talk about the original cities, starting in New York, then headed over to Los Angeles, then major cities, Miami, so on and so forth. But it was to the point where it's like, yo, ain't no black people. Then there was one woman from Australia who made it into the competition, and she looked like Julia Stiles from Save the Last Dance. Like, legit, how she get in this mug. And I'm not saying this to be like funny. I really thought this. I saw them women break dancers, and I said to myself, you know what? If I get back on my stretching and get my cardio back up, I can be ready in 4 years to do that. And I ain't one of them people that be like, oh, I can do that, especially at this age, especially at an Olympic level. But some of them people, I was like, I can do that in 4 years. I got some cardboard. I can get my windmills to, like, I was like, especially the woman from Australia. I think I can do that. So they was dragging her all over social media. Come to find out, she was like a PhD in cultural movement or something like that. Somebody even started the conversation to say she was doing a social experiment on cultural appropriation. I hope that's the case. Cause sister girl, I don't know what that was. It was, y'all go on social media and look up Australian breakdancer. I say all that to say it is an interesting thing to think about and put into perspective when you sit and really consider. Hip hop started by was started by kids, black and Hispanic kids, but mostly black kids. Not 100%, but you know what I'm saying. And at the time, especially in the late 70s, because when we talk about breakdancing, people who really were there when it started, they are now 50 and 60 some years old. Hip hop turned 50. So again, the people who started it when they did, they was like 15, 16, 17 and up. Those people were chased by police, harassed, called hoodlums, demonized for creating this art form that people thought was trash. They used to call hip hop music and breakdancing and graffiti and tagging that art form trash. People who considered themselves real artists used to disrespect those kids and those young people and those teenagers and young adults. It wasn't what it is right now. Fast forward even a couple years later when gangster rap came about. Remember, they was dumping CDs in the streets, and Congress people and senators and lawmakers were bulldozing CDs, talking about how it's polluting and ruining people's minds. We got to keep this out of the hands of our kids. And for all of that to happen, and now in 2024, hip hop has traveled the globe. Hip hop culture has traveled the globe. There was a girl from Ukraine called Nika. She was out there in a do-rag. Hip hop culture, dress, dance, swag, persona, you name it. All of it has traveled the globe to the point where breaking made its way to the Olympics. The same dance, the genre of dance that people demonized and joked on and clowned on, made it to the Olympics. And when it finally made it, there were no people there doing it that looked like us. How wild is that? When you do this full circle moment, and this is me saying this as a 40-something-year-old woman who was not born when hip hop was started, but was very young when hip hop was still very young, and I feel an ownership and an attachment to it. And I'm feeling this way. Can you imagine being one of them breakers that really like kicked off the genre? I'm talking about straight cardboard and on the sidewalk. Can you imagine them watching that, the Olympics, and feeling like that and feeling forgotten? In a way, feeling vindicated, but then forgotten, because even they didn't even have, and that could be mistaken, they ain't even had the OGs judging. Now, people were on social media chiming in saying it was a process for people to get in, because people were like, what was the qualifications? There were competitions, there were qualifying rounds. They were saying that now Black people don't really take the art form as serious as some people in these other cultures and these other countries. They were saying it's evolved, it's more acrobatic than it was. But again, like, where was the like the where was the homage? And maybe I'm expecting too much, because again, I really was expecting, and it's funny when I say I was expecting Breaking Two. I know it's a joke, but part of me was like, they at least gonna have the OGs up there. Even when you tuned into NBC, there was one girl you could tell she knew breaking. She was a breaker. Her commentary, she was calling out the moves and the turns, and she knew people from being on the circuit herself. She would be like, "Oh, that's so and so signature move. They've been doing this for either X amount of years." Child, the other NBC analysts, this was her first time breaking. You can tell, because every time somebody would do something in the other they would comment, she would be like, "That's so interesting. Who would, wow, this dance is so interesting." You couldn't even have commentate, like, people, you didn't even have people who knew the genre. So all over, I was just disappointed. And I don't like to feel like that, or I don't want people who are in it to feel discouraged, because I can only imagine what it feels like. A lot of them had people were chiming in and defending people on social media, saying, "No, no, no, give them a benefit of the doubt. They mentors, are people a part of the culture. They paying homage. They studied. They came to LA and New York and was breaking and dancing with some of the OGs." I respect it, but two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true. One, people can pay homage, they can show respect, they can know the culture, they can understand where it came from, and they could be trying to carry on the tradition regardless of where they're from in the world and their background, their demographic, race, ethnicity, all of that. And also, the originators and the culture and the people who started this can also be forgotten and left behind. So, just wanted to bring that up, because it did make me sad. It did make me sad. And at the end of the day, personally, especially in situations when the new sport is very culture specific and very it's people specific, because it's one thing to introduce like flag football and like field hockey, things like that, sports. But when you are inserting something that is literally birthed from the heartbeat of a culture and of a people, I think there is a different level of care that should be associated with it than it is with another sport. And so, I'm talking about honorary gold medals. Turbo and Ozone, Shabadoo, Boogaloo Shrimp need to have honorary medals. And I know they don't happen. That's standard. That's not standard. People don't get honorary medals. But I personally feel like our heroes should be propped up and held to a standard that supersedes this being added to the Olympics. Now, with that in mind, though, because breaking isn't going to be a part of the LA Olympics, the host country and city after that doesn't have to add it either. So this could be the first and only time we see Olympic breaking as a sport, which is unfortunate and also kind of not surprising, because at the end of the day, people still kind of view it as a black genre, and they're gonna kick black stuff out of here. It's just too black. Okay, we don't know. But let me know your thoughts about it. Did you get a chance to watch? What were your feelings? Let me know. Hit me up. You can find me at Canelia on social media. And lastly, and we ain't got to spend too much time on it. I'm just bringing this up because people was bringing it up, and child, allegedly, child, allegedly, they done caught a picture of Michael Jordan's son out there doing that powder. I don't know what that, hey man, there's a picture floating around of Michael Jordan's son, Marcus, having a good time overseas with something in in his hand moving towards a nostril. I don't allegedly. Okay? Allegedly. Child, Michael Jordan probably somewhere rolling over in his bootcut jeans. Okay, Michael Jordan is somewhere. Hey, them little yellow eyes. Y'all. Michael is somewhere. I'm sure upset. Allegedly, I don't know that man's story. I don't know that man's family. I do know it has to be extremely difficult being the child of the best in a field. It's always gonna be difficult. It's spotlight on you when it shouldn't even be on you. Okay, Michael Jordan was the man. That don't automatically mean now his kids got to be followed. Same with LeBron. LeBron the man. That don't mean that Bronny and Bryce and Zuri got to be followed, but they be followed. This kind of like when when they had a picture of Bronny smoking. Like you can't be no kid and do nothing. Look at Sasha and Malia Obama. Sasha and Malia Obama just be out here living their life. Child, they do anything. Picture the Obama kids minding their business. Guess what they doing? Serena Williams gonna have the same situation with Olympia and her new baby. I forgot the new baby's name. Child, them kids ain't gonna be able to do nothing. Click, click, snap, snap, pick a picture of Serena Williams' kids. You name it, it's gonna be them kids. D Wade's kids. People be all in D Wade's kids' business. They be blaming Gabrielle Union. Gabrielle Union, the reason why D Wade's kid. No, it don't matter. People, when you the big dog in your genre, your sport, your class, your entertainment field, whatever it is the case, your kids gonna get dragged into it, whether they like it or not, which ultimately means when they make missteps or do some things that could be perceived as bad, they gonna get blasted for it. They don't have the same opportunity to mess up, make mistakes, and do things that other kids get to do in private. Which in this case, talking about Michael Jordan, his son, that don't really count because Michael Jordan's son, I think that brother might be close to 40. So this is different. He's not a child, but he is still the child of what people consider the greatest basketball player of all time. Which, side note, a lot of people been talking about, y'all know they compare teams, Olympic basketball teams. Do we hold the 92 Dream Team to an unrealistic standard? I'm wondering, do we hold them? Are they as good as we remember? Or were they good for that time, considering and based on the competition that they had? And I say that because it seems like it's becoming the NBA and basketball is a global game now. There are more people playing in the Olympics for other countries than there ever were. Back in the day, you'd be lucky if there was like 2, 3 over NBA players playing in the Olympics that weren't on the Dream Team or the American teams. But now each team they play, child, it be NBA players. And it seems like it's getting harder and harder to win. And people keep saying the 92 Dream Team wouldn't have had these struggles, and the 92 Dream Team and the 92 Dream Team. As someone who was around and old enough to watch basketball back then, I ain't just watching on YouTube and the highlights and taking word of mouth. I may have been young, but I was watching them games. I was my father's youngest child, and he didn't have boys, so I was the honorary boy. So I had to watch the games. Let's ask ourselves, could the 92 Dream Team win against the international competition of today? And I'm asking this before there was an undeniable yes from my perspective. But then I actually rewatched a little bit of the game. Y'all, Larry Bird had a stomach. Now, no disrespect to people who have stomachs, but I did not realize the shape, the level of the health or like the physicality, the builds of the 92 Dream Team in relation to the builds of the teams today. Larry Bird was out there hooping with a stomach. Some of the teams that they was playing for, people keep saying they was playing against electricians and plumbers and stuff. Charles, some of them actually, some of the teams that was playing, they did look like that was the case. I know it wasn't, but that's what it looked like. So I'm honestly no longer going to answer the question to say if the 92 Dream Team would have been, is still considered the best. They had some of the best players of all time. But I think the question we should be asking ourselves is, which of the players on the 92 Dream Team do we feel like their game could be transferable today and that they would still be the level of star and have the level of dominance now that they had then? I think at 92, not their peak, not Larry Bird at his peak, not Magic Johnson at his peak. In 92, how they showed up on the court, what would that look like today? And again, would that game translate? Personally, I feel like people like Charles Barkley. I think Charles Barkley, the level of celebrity he was back then and how big he was back then, I think he would only be a role player now. I think he would be a Draymond Green. I don't think Charles Barkley would still have the same legacy then as he has now because people just so athletic. Everybody athletic. LeBron James, like 6'8", can dunk, run, dribble. He can point. He can do all things. Charles Barkley, yeah, he could shoot and he can dunk and he had handles. But I think he may have been a Draymond Green. Could Magic do what he doing then now? Yep. Michael Jordan? Yep. Hell, Clyde Drexler? Yep. Isaiah Thomas wasn't on the Dream Team. He should have been. Y'all know what happened with that. But could Isaiah? Yep. But some of them, I don't know. Would they still be NBA superstars? Sure. Would they still make it to the league? Sure. Could they still have played? Sure. But this competition now, these kids more athletic. So I don't know. That's a conversation we can have later. We can table it. Let me know y'all thoughts though, because I ain't gonna keep going on and on about it. If you want to talk sports though, we can talk sports. Y'all know where to find me. I'm at Cornelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we did a final discussion about the Olympics, the situation around Jordan Childs and her bronze medal. We also talked about diaspora wars amongst Black people and Michael Jordan, his son, and the legacy of the 92 Dream Team. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.